Welcome back, guys. I'm going to be sharing with you the unspoken rules of the gym and how you can increase your gym etiquette. So these rules are usually practiced by most in the gym, and it can be a little intimidating, especially if you're a newcomer into any gym or gym environment where you kind of feel out of place, so you got a little bit of imposter syndrome going on, and you kind of feel like you don't belong there, you're in someone's way, or even if you've been there for a while, you feel pretty comfortable, you may be doing something that's breaking one of the unspoken rules. So let's go over these rules so you can put your future self at ease a little bit. So for the first rule, it's going to be re-rack your weights and equipment. No one wants to come into a gym and have all the weights out on the floor where they can barely walk, they're tripping over them, or go up to the squat rack or the bench and the bar be loaded with 315, 225 pounds. And especially if you're a beginner, you're not going to be warming up with that weight, so you're going to have to strip that weight down and then put your weight you need on there. So you might as well just go ahead and strip the bar when you get done working out. If you feel like you're too tired after your workout, to take the 45s back across the gym where you got them, then I think you should maybe drop a set, or take a few minutes to get your breath and rest a little bit before doing that, because there's no excuse to not re-racking your weights and equipment. Even if you just grab the jump rope out of the room and you're like, I'll just leave it here in the corner, I'll be fine. It's not fine. Someone's going to go to that room looking for that jump rope and it's not going to be there, and so you're going to hinder someone else's workout and make them go running around the gym trying to clean up after you. So clean up after yourself. You're grown. You shouldn't have mommy and daddy coming up behind you and picking up your stuff. Now for the second rule, which I think is the biggest rule of all, is to wear deodorant and practice good hygiene. There's no telling how many times I've worked out in a public gym and the smell is awful, the must is awful, and it comes from a lot of the members not taking good care of their body, not practicing good hygiene, and not wearing deodorant, and they show up in these nasty, sweaty clothes, and it just fills the whole air with this pungent smell. So to help not only your health and your social life, I recommend you show up to the gym in clean attire, you wear deodorant, and you practice good hygiene. No one wants to be working out or around the smelly person in the gym, and if there's enough of you, it can actually create a horrible aroma for the gym and keep people away from it. And if you're a newcomer, it can really turn you away from the gym. You come into a gym and it just smells awful. You're like, how the hell could anybody be in here and put themselves in this environment? And it can really give a bad rep for a good gym just because of the lack of hygiene and the lack of care on some of the members' parts. So do your brother and sister a favor in the gym and hit the shower and put on some deodorant. Moving on to the third rule, don't give unsolicited advice. A lot of people, especially if you've been in the gym for, a few years, you want to immediately jump on someone if they're doing something wrong. But a lot of people don't even want to be approached in the gym, let alone have a conversation or the workout be interrupted. Some people are really busy with their time. Their time's very valuable. Don't take up their time. And if you really feel like you have to just say something to them, I only recommend doing that if you think there's a 90% chance of them injuring themselves within the next week. If not, I say just let it be, and if they actually need help, they'll go seek it elsewhere. They'll come up to you and approach you first. And another tip for gym etiquette when it comes to approaching people in the gym, whether you're giving them advice or you're about to ask for advice or something from them, is wait until their set is done. Do not wait until they start their set before you walk up and you're lingering around behind them, getting up in their personal space, and therefore making them cut their set short just to be able to communicate with you and figure out what you need. And if you're giving them advice, don't just walk up, put your hands on them, or grab their equipment. You need to be talking to them and getting their permission first and feeling them out, making sure they even want your advice in the first place. So moving on to rule number 4, it's going to be how to claim your own space. So sometimes you'll come to the gym, you'll see a water bottle, a gym bag, car keys, a phone, on a bench or somewhere by a squat rack. And that basically means that someone is there and they may have went to the bathroom or just stepped over to where the lockers are at to get something out of their gym bag if their gym bag's not right beside them. And that's basically a way of showing that they've claimed the space. So you don't want to just walk into the gym when you first get there, see someone that has like their stuff on the bench, move that stuff off on the floor or move it away, and then just start using the bench. I would recommend, sitting around the area you want to be working in at, or using a machine or, warming up around that area and just kind of keeping an eye on it while you warm up. And if no one's came back within 5 minutes or so, I think that's when it's appropriate to wind up moving that stuff and using that equipment until they come back. Usually though, if they're using the equipment, there's going to be weight on the bar, but sometimes that's not always the case. Sometimes they're doing what also you shouldn't do, but sometimes people do this instead. And instead of being courteous of others and sharing the equipment, they'll come in, feel entitled to the equipment, immediately set their shit down, and go chatterbox with someone across the gym. and not even be working out or warming up. And that's when it's appropriate to move their stuff off the bench and start with your sets. Now, if it's a squat rack and if it's right beside the squat rack or another piece of equipment, if it's not directly in your way, there's no point in touching it. You don't want to touch other people's personal belongings if you don't have to. So bottom line is, know the markers, but don't just immediately walk in and feel entitled to it, and set your own markers and then leave the area. Now, moving on to the fifth rule, another thing you don't want to be doing upon your arrival is if it's chest day and you need the bench and someone's on that bench and obviously mid-set, middle of their workout, you don't want to walk up to them and be like, hey, how many sets do you have left? You know, that can not only come off as rude, but it can also come off as entitled because you just arrived. This person was there first. And so I recommend you come into the gym, you know, get ready for your workout, change your clothes, whatever you got to do, start warming up, use other dumbbells or other equipment. In the meantime, you know, warming up your chest or whatever, and watching them, allowing them to finish up their workout. And if you're really on a time crunch or you're done warming up and you really just got to try to work in with them, ask them. Go up to them, and instead of asking how many sets do you have left, you know, trying to rush them and get them off the bench, ask them, is it okay for me to work in with you? And you might even be able to make a gym buddy like that. Now, for me personally, I don't mind letting people work in with me. I enjoy letting people work in with me. Getting to know other people and stuff in the gym is really nice to me. I like socializing a little bit in the gym, but a lot of people don't. A lot of people want to be to themselves. They don't want to conversate with you, and they're not obligated to allow you to work in. So if they let you work in, thank them for it. You don't have to do a conversation with them, you know, especially if they seem like they want to just keep their headphones in, they don't want to talk to you, and they're just being nice, letting you work in. Respect that and just work in with them in silence. Moving on to rule number 6, you don't want to be using the equipment more than what you have to. You know, you don't want to be sitting on the bench, taking your rest periods on, you know, scrolling through TikTok, scrolling through Twitter, scrolling through Facebook, or on YouTube, watching a YouTube video. You don't want to have those, you know, 10-minute rest periods in between each set and just be sitting on the bench, you know, laughing at IG Reels or something, you know. You're in the gym for a reason. I'm not saying you can't look at your phone during your rest set, but looking at your phone during your rest set can prolong your rest period, which can also hinder your workout. And usually if you keep your phone in your pocket, you're gonna wind up getting done with your workout way faster, which gives you more time throughout your day, and it's gonna free up the equipment even faster for the next person. And that's why when I work out at my home gym, you know, sometimes I'll be down here for like an hour 30, and in a public gym, I'm done in 40, 50 minutes because I'm mindful of other people I share the equipment with, because if I'm on the equipment, no one else can use it, so I'm trying to get off of it as quick as possible, but also allowing myself enough rest time to be optimal in between sets. Moving on to rule number 7, I don't see a lot of people doing this, but I have seen it before. Do not bring your plate of Chinese food or any food as far as that goes into the gym and sit down on the equipment and start having your 5-star meal right across from someone that's mid-set. You know, some people can get nauseated by the smell of food. So again, this etiquette is being mindful of others, but we also want to respect the gym we're working out in. You know, we don't want to be dropping these fried or rice crumbs all over the floor and mushing them in the ground, attracting ants, other insects into the gym, and just making it a big mess. Because someone's going to have to come back and clean up after you. And if we're going to be mindful of re-racking our weights and making sure there's not a mess to clean up behind us, we're not going to go out of our way to create a different kind of mess. So I recommend if you got to eat, if your gym has a waiting area, it's probably okay to do in the waiting area. If you want to eat in your car, which is probably better in my opinion, that's what I would do instead of bringing your food into the gym to try to eat it there. Moving on to rule number 8, this mostly goes for our power lifters. Now, I'm a power lifter myself, but you don't see me coming into the gym, breaking open a block of chalk right in the gym floor, especially if it's not a powerlifting gym. Now, there are powerlifting gyms and more gyms that are open to powerlifters, you know, the use of chalk being on the floor, but a lot of commercial gyms are not. So there's liquid chalk, there's other type of workarounds that you can do instead of just having that powdered chalk, because that chalk gets everywhere, especially when you're doing deadlift, and you're almost certainly going to get it on the deadlift platform and around the area. So usually you do not want to be using chalk in a commercial gym. However, I understand that commercial gyms have slick bars, and I have seen people bring their own bars in a commercial gym because of that reason. I recommend if you do use chalk, like I said, you use an alternative, but if you have to use your powdered block chalk, and especially if you make a mess, you need to be asking for a broom or cleaning up after yourself. Don't leave that behind. Don't leave that behind for everybody else. Some people don't want to have chalk in their hands and they don't like the feeling of it. They just want to, you know, come in there for fitness reasons and work out. So even though I agree with using chalk and I think there's nothing wrong with chalk, some people don't, and that's why we're going to respect them as well. Moving on to rule number 9, which is a more newer rule considering how cheap cameras are getting, and we have smartphones now, so we're able to record very easily. But if you record in the gym, try to be mindful of the other members in the gym. You know, if you're able to get your shot or record yourself whether you're checking out form, you know, for a YouTube video or a PR or whatever you're doing, try to keep the other people in the mirrors, in the background, out of frame. So if you can like zoom in just a little bit or shift the camera just a little bit to keep someone out of the shot, I recommend doing that just to respect other people's privacy. Do unto others as you would have them do unto you, you know, the golden rule. And as far as content creation goes in the gym, you don't want to have your camera sit on a tripod in the middle of the walkway and leave it there for your entire workout. You know, that's going to be a trip hazard to a lot of people, and it can create some tensions between some of the other gym members and yourself. If you're working out solo and you feel like you got to use a tripod, set it up, get the shot, pull it back towards your rack or wherever you're at, get it out of the walkway for everybody else, and then if you have to, get some other shots, put it back out when you need it and then take it up. Don't just leave it out there. You wouldn't put your gym bag in the middle of the walkway, so why are you putting a tripod, Moving on to rule number 10. It's kind of a funny rule. It's old, but it's very true. Do not curl on the squat rack. You do not want to be curling the squat rack because the squat rack's used for what? Squatting. We want to ensure we're using the proper stations for our workout, because how mad would you be if you came in for a leg day and you see all the squat racks are taken up with people just curling them? Using the station is something they're not meant to do, so we're not going to do that to other people. So we're not going to curl in the squat rack, right guys? We're going to go over to where the dumbbells are, go over where all the curl bars are, and we're just going to stand up and curl over there. Moving on to rule 11, and that's going to be respecting the equipment as it's your own. You don't want to come into your gym disrespectful. And disrespectful is going to be, using the cable machine, holding it down, just letting it go, not going up with it, easing it back up, and letting it slam against the top of it. That could potentially break it. You don't want to be putting your dumbbells on top of the bench that can, tear the upholster. So I recommend you view the equipment in the gym like it's your own. If you want people coming into your gym and doing something with the equipment that you're doing with theirs, there's no reason you should be doing that. Because if everybody goes in there and breaks up the equipment, you won't have that equipment to use. And if a gym has to replace enough equipment, they may even close down shop or not even be able to keep open anymore, or they'll have to raise prices to compensate for it. So be sure you go into the gym and respect the equipment. Now for rule 12, final last rule, keep conversations at a minimum. You don't want to be approaching other people in the gym, being a little chatterbox, floating around from station to station, from person to person, and interrupting a lot of workouts. If you see someone you're familiar with in the gym, say, hey, throw a couple conversations up no longer than, 2 to 3 minutes, and keep it pushing. They're in there for the same reason you're in there, and that's to work on yourselves and get better. And you're both preventing each other from doing that, being chatterboxes and hindering each other's workout, whether it be intentionally or not intentionally. The worst feeling for me is when I'm at my heavier sets and, someone's coming up to me, or even if I know them, they're coming up, trying to catch up with me, trying to ask me what I've been doing and stuff. And I love conversating with people. I like making new friends in the gym, but what I don't like is being forced into a conversation and them not understanding that I'm in the middle of a workout, I'm in my heavier sets, I need to really focus for these lifts and get my breathing down, which I can't do if I'm using my air, my lungs, to talk back to you. So after a minute or two of just friendly greetings, just be like, hey, I'm gonna let you get back to your workout, and they'll probably say the same, and you can go about your day. Hope this video is information for you guys. If you guys feel like I left out an important rule for the gym, let me know in the comments down below. I'd love to hear it. Hope you guys have a good morning, a good night whenever you're watching this, and I'll see you in the next one.